Well, hello and welcome to a new video. We are going to test Battlefield 6 on the RTX 5000 MaxQ in the all-out warfare multiplayer mode. And we're gonna test this with all settings, starting with the highest graphics preset here with 1080p resolution, and DLSS going to be set to balanced here. So we are using an upscaler here, and balance should give us the best performance to visual ratio here. So let's go ahead and play the game. And you can see we're playing with 64 players here, and this RTX 5000 is inside the Lenovo Thinkpad P15 Generation 1, which I have connected to an external monitor in order to directly connect the GPU to the display output, which should bypass Intel iGPU limitations or problems which would lead to lower FPS output here. I mean, you could also always go ahead and also just go and use the NVIDIA Optimus setting in the BIOS, so that you will directly link your GPU or your dedicated GPU to your Intel monitor of the laptop. But yeah, I'm gonna test a few machines today, and therefore it is very much more useful for me to just connect it to an external monitor. And yeah, since it is inside my Lenovo Thinkpad P15 Generation 1, that means that we also do have 32 GB of dual shell memory, as well as an 8-core i7 10775H CPU here. And that is a pretty power inefficient CPU, and at lower settings it will definitely be a bottleneck in this title. But I guess, as you can see, we're hovering around the 96% GPU utilization, which basically means that we are in a GPU limit here at the moment with the highest settings at 1080p, but DLSS upscaling with the balance setting activated. Oh, and we can see this bug where you actually got the vision of somebody else's scope right now when they aim, or I guess look through binoculars or something like that. That for some reason happens sometimes when they are in close proximity to you. And you can see that we're hovering around the 50 to 60 FPS, I think it is, for the last few minutes. So it is playable. But I guess for an online multiplayer title such as Battlefield 6, you definitely would want to go and lower the settings. So let's go ahead and do that and set it to the ultra settings, I think is next. Yeah, it is the ultra settings. And I'm really not seeing too much of a performance uplift here. I guess a little bit. I mean, before that we did see the 50 to 60 FPS, and right now we even saw 70 FPS there. Yeah, we're seeing over 60 FPS right now, but we're still dropping into the 50s. So I guess ultra settings still isn't in the range for this card when it comes to online multiplayer mode. I'm just gonna go ahead and try to save our mate here. It's so nice that people are actually waiting to be revived here in most cases. I mean, the only moment when you should actually skip the resurrection or revive is when you see enemies right next to you, where you are very much certain that, just as I'm right now, that if my mate would go in here to revive me, he would probably die to him. Okay, and we're seeing so many effects going on the screen right now. And even though I'm really not happy with the fact that we actually are using or having to rely on upscaling techniques like DLSS for a fluid gameplay experience in a lot of modern titles, I think it is good to at least have this option available to us. And I mean, DLSS really looks fine to me, even with this balanced preset. But I'm also not looking too closely to details. So I guess that is... it is what it is. But yeah, I'm rarely noticing, even with the older FSRs, any problems with the upscaling techniques. But yeah, it's still sad to me that we are not relying on rasterization performance any longer. I mean, it is a nice to have, in my opinion, and should be used for older machines and to increase the lifespan and longevity of these older cards, but I think it should definitely not be necessary to use something like that with high-end modern GPUs in order to get a playable experience. But yeah, I mean, this is actually feeling pretty good now. I mean, we're, as I was expecting, since we're compiling shaders in beforehand, seeing a very smooth frame time graph here. Yeah, most of the time we are over the 60 FPS or around the 60 FPS at least here. So let's go ahead and turn it down to the high settings now. And join in again and see how much that's going to change. And yeah, 70 FPS. I mean, I guess it will need a few seconds to load in properly and actually show the real FPS that you would get when you are loading into a new game with these settings. But yeah, 70 FPS right now. Looking around while dying and seeing a lot of effects going on the screen. And I guess nobody's going to come to save us. That is very sad. Okay. Yeah, so over 60 FPS, I think, right in this area. I mean, obviously the FPS will change dynamically all the time with what is going to happen around you, depending on what is going to happen around you. But yeah, I think we saw 50 FPS the last time we were around this area here, and now we're seeing around the 60 to 70 FPS. So very nice, and we're still in a GPU limit, if I'm not mistaken. Woo! Okay, now we're definitely seeing some CPU bottlenecking because we are dropping into 90 and 80% utilization right now. But overall, it's still a very nice experience to play at the moment. And I also don't see too much of a graphically fidelity difference between these settings and the ultra settings here, but that could also be due to the fact that A, we're using DLSS, and B, I am only playing at 1080p on a huge 32-inch 1440p monitor, so everything's a little bit blurry anyways to me. But nevertheless, still a very nice gameplay experience, and we're not seeing any FPS drops when we're shooting our gun and are in heavy firefights, so that is very promising. Okay, and I'm just gonna go ahead and go to the medium settings right now, because we still have 2 more to go through. Let's see how this is going to play. Okay, once again, we are seeing a noticeable FPS uplift. Now we're between the 70s and 80 FPS, and our GPU is definitely no longer fully utilized, and we're fully in a CPU bottleneck right now. But not all the time, as it seems. Which is very interesting to me. Oh yeah, there's still an enemy, I think I'm just gonna skip that. Ooh, okay, we're very high up here. Hello, mate. Okay, flying above the battlefield and seeing a shit ton of action going on underneath us. We're still over the 60 FPS mark. Very nice. And on the bottom, we're seeing around the 60, 70, 80 FPS. Oh, and we may lose the game before I actually get to switch to the low settings and very low settings, which is not optimal. But I think I'm just gonna go ahead here now and actually go to the low settings here. Oh, there's only one setting left anyway, so let's go ahead and look how the low settings is going to impact our performance and visual infidelity here. I actually do think it still looks quite acceptable, even with the low settings. I'm not really seeing too much of an FPS uplift here though. We're still around the 70 to 80 FPS now. So I guess, I don't know if it's actually worth it to go to the low settings, even though I also don't really know if there's too much of a difference. I mean, it may be worth if you have a stronger CPU than what I am having here, a more capable CPU. Obviously, this i7 is holding back our RTX 5000 quite a bit. So yeah, if you do have a better CPU than I have here, which I actually do doubt because the RTX 5000 in the laptop obviously did not come with anything higher than something like the 8-core i9 of this generation, and that one isn't really that much faster than what I'm having here. But if your laptop is able to feed your CPU more wattage than what my one does here, then you may see far more FPS than what we just saw here, because we now definitely were in a CPU full bottleneck with the medium and especially in the low settings as well. But yeah, I'm gonna end this video for now with these, and I hope you definitely could see that you can play this game even with the 70 plus FPS if you stick to the low to medium settings here. And yeah, it's definitely very much playable on this RTX 5000.